everyone, and a very warm welcome to our live panel and Q&A session, Where Can an Arts and Humanities Degree Take You? And this is taking place as part of our undergraduate online open day here today, Thursday, 23rd of April. Whether you're an offer holder or a prospective student, it's great to have you joining us live. My name is Daniel Mitchell, and I'm Head of Employability and Skills within our Careers, Employability and Opportunity team here at the University of Glasgow. I've worked in careers and employability for the last 10 years, and our mission within Careers at Glasgow is really simple. We want to inspire and empower all of our students to achieve their full personal and professional potential. I've spent much of my career actually working with arts and humanities students across subjects like English, languages, history, archaeology, and more. So I've really been looking forward to chairing today's panel, and wow, do we have a session today for you. We know that careers, are kind of a key consideration before, during, and after university. And today is all about showcasing just how many different opportunities and career pathways are available to our arts and humanities students and graduates in that ever-changing world of work. I'm joined by a fantastic panel of both staff and students, and we have Catherine, Lauren, Tanya, and Vaibhav. I'm going to invite each of them now just to briefly introduce themselves. So panelists, if you can share your name, your role or your degree, and a little bit about your own experience, starting with you, Catherine.
Thanks, Daniel. So my name's Catherine Willans, and I'm the Partnerships Manager within the School of Culture and Creative Arts. And I'm here today to talk a little bit more about some of the industry partnerships we have within the school and in the wider College of Arts and Humanities. And I'll pass over to Lauren.
Thanks, Catherine. Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Durward, and I am the Alumni Engagement Coordinator for the College of Arts and Humanities. So a little bit different, as in that I am the other end of your university experience, but still an important part to consider, I think, when choosing your university. I will pass over to Tanya.
Thanks, Lauren. My name is Dr. Tanya Cheadle. I am a gender historian, but I'm also responsible for learning and teaching in the School of Humanities. And I'm here today to talk about a recent initiative that we ran within humanities, within the school, called the Humanities World Changes Report. So more on that from me later. Vaibhav.
Thank you, Tanya. I'm Vaibhav Prakash. I am currently a fourth-year business management and music student, and I'm here just to talk a bit about my internships and where an arts and humanities degree can take you. How flexible the degree is. So a bit on all of that later.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, it's great to have such a range of perspectives on the panel today, and I know you're all going to have some great insights to share with our offer holders. So just to give you a sense of how the session will run, in the first half, each of our panelists are going to share their own perspective on where an arts and humanities degree can take you here at Glasgow. And then in the second half, we're going to open things up to you and take some of your questions. So you can submit these at any point using the live chat. So please do, post your questions as they come up, and then we'll get to them in that second part. So we're going to start then with the presentations, and I'm going to kick things off. So I'm going to share some slides. And I'm going to start, I guess, by introducing you to arts and humanities here at Glasgow. Obviously, given my background with a kind of a slight focus on all things careers, employability skills, and ultimately thinking about your future. So when we talk about arts and humanities, we're really talking about subjects that explore, well, what does it mean to be human? How we think, how we communicate, how we create, how we understand the world around us. And whilst this might sound broad, actually that's exactly where the value lies. Critical thinking, communication, creativity, adaptability, empathy, all of these skills are increasingly important in today's world of work, particularly in a context where we're seeing rapid change through AI, automation, global challenges. It's these human-centered skills, that really remain essential, and that's why they're deeply embedded in our arts and humanities disciplines here across, the University of Glasgow. Now, you still might be wondering, well, where does all of this lead? And I guess that's exactly what we want to unpack today. My advice, from working with students is actually to try and shift your thinking. Kind of we get a lot of, well, what does this degree lead to? But maybe we should be thinking about, well, what do I enjoy? What am I good at? And what do I have to offer? Okay, let's head to the next slide, because I've already mentioned skills, but actually they are a big part of why you should study the arts and humanities today, and also in deciding, well, where can your degree take you? I always kind of consider skills as that golden thread that run through your degree and into your career. Now, they don't come with kind of job titles attached. They don't sound that exciting all the time, but they are what open doors across kind of industries and roles. And if you look at what's listed here, as an example, well, the communication skills you develop are highly valued in areas like media, marketing, policy, and beyond. Your ability to think critically helps you evaluate information, make decisions, solve problems in fields like business, consultancy, or the public sector. And obviously, creativity supports innovation, fresh thinking. Adaptability helps you respond to change and navigate new challenges. So you can really see how this all starts to come together. So that just comes to that message, instead of thinking of kind of that fixed career path, it's actually a bit more about recognizing that your degree is going to give you that toolkit, one that can be applied in lots of different ways, and it's going to depend on where your interests take you. And I think that's particularly important, especially when we consider that about 80% of graduate roles are actually open to students from any discipline. So it really is a lot broader than what you might think. But then why should you choose Glasgow? Well, that really brings all of this to life. I'll start again. Well, what really brings all of this to life is the environment that you're studying in. Okay, so the University of Glasgow is a world top 70 university for arts and humanities, and it's based in what's often described as the UK's friendliest city. Glasgow is also a leading international Russell Group university. We're home to about 43,000 students from 140 countries. So actually, you'd be joining part of a truly global and diverse community. I think it's really important to mention here that Glasgow is also the creative hub of Scotland, with a huge concentration of artists, musicians, performers, and creative professionals. So by being here with us in Glasgow, you would be surrounded by a city that is actively producing culture, not just studying it. You'd arrive in a city with a rich network of organizations, venues, industries that are actively shaping the creative economy. And this creates real opportunities to engage with the kind of sectors that many of our arts and humanities students are interested in, and ultimately where you could start building experience alongside your degree in part-time work, internships, and more. One great example of how we facilitate this in Careers Employability and Opportunity is we host an annual Creative Connections event. This gives students the opportunity to actually meet and hear directly from professionals working across the creative and cultural industries. It's a chance to see the variety of paths people have taken, understand how they've used their degrees, but also start to build their very own networks. Of course, we have lots of supports that's available in careers, from skills workshops and employer events, one-to-one advice, exclusive internships. And all of this is designed to help build your confidence, explore your options, and really connect your degree to what might come next. And to really give you a sense of the breadth of arts and humanities subjects on offer, take a look at this next slide. From ancient history to theology, from French to theatre, Glasgow offers such a wide range of disciplines, along with the flexibility to combine some of these subjects with subjects from other colleges and explore different areas of interest. This interdisciplinarity is a real strength because it allows you to shape your degree around what you enjoy and where your strengths lie. And from a careers perspective, this is incredibly valuable. It's okay for there not to be one clear or obvious path. And I actually think this is a strength, rather than a limitation. Our arts and humanities students develop a powerful combination of disciplinary knowledge and transferable skills. And it's these things that are really valued across a wide range of industries. And when we look at the destinations of our previous arts and humanities graduates, we see this in action. So within 15 months of graduation, 96% of our graduates are in work or further study, and they're working in sectors such as education, government, heritage, museums, retail, marketing, media, technology, health, publishing, banking, finance, energy, law. There are so many, it's impossible for me to name them all today. And a big part of your journey is obviously discovering, well, where an arts and humanities degree can take you. And it's about starting how you can apply your knowledge and skills in practice. So I'm now going to hand over to Catherine, and she's going to talk to you about the role that industry partnerships and real world experience can play.
Thanks so much for that, Daniel, and for laying the land so well. So as I mentioned in my introduction, I'm the partnerships manager, and I'm based specifically in the School of Culture and Creative Arts. And some of the activities I'm talking about relate to the subjects within that school, but also we deliver activities that reach out across the College of Arts and Humanities. and are really good examples of illustrating what you get to do on your courses and programs to help you decide where you would want your arts and humanities degree to take you. So I just want to say a few words about how we work with partners in the cultural industries in the city and the opportunities that this then creates for students who study with us. It's a real opportunity to develop those real world experiences and think about your networks as you move forward. So one example I wanted to cover was how in the School of Culture and Creative Arts, we have created different opportunities to make sure that students have opportunities to learn with industry and create for the real world. One example of this is the course that's been developed with GMAC. GMAC is a learning and filmmaking organisation that's based in the city of Glasgow. And the course has been available to students of film and television studies, but also those in our other subject areas, which are creative arts and industries, history of art, music and theatre studies. It's been targeted at students who are in their senior honours or final year of study at undergraduate level. And the idea behind it is that students get an opportunity to co-create a film or a social media campaign, and they do this alongside local grassroots community organisations that are based in the city. The learning is supported in partnership with GMAC, which makes this a very unique course, and the classes themselves are actually held off campus and at GMAC's premises. This gives students on this course another entry into a more real world experience and really learning in that kind of hands-on environment. And the benefits of this course that we've seen are that students really develop these valuable skills that Daniel has referenced. And it's also an opportunity to work in a collaborative way in teamwork and to look at the kind of co-design process. And in doing so, this is a real opportunity for students to enhance employability, their agency and self-awareness really about coming back to that key question today, where can an arts and humanities degree take you? Alongside this type of course, some of our programs also offer opportunities for course embedded placements. So doing work placements that are embedded as part of the course and part of the core part of the learning. Examples of this take place in theatre studies, for example, and students there have completed embedded placements with organisations such as Glasgow Life, with Scottish Opera, which is, has international renown, and the Traverse Theatre in Edinburgh. And as a school and as part of the wider college, we also work closely and collaborate with Daniel and the careers team. And that leads me back to touching on those paid internships that the university makes available. These sometimes exist internally, working with the university, but also we've been working hard to build those relationships and those networks for our students so they get opportunities for paid experience with the cultural sector. And the internships that have been created on the back of that have been really rich and diverse, with TV production companies, with theatres such as the Trom, which is another theatre in Scotland based in Glasgow, and local grassroots music organisations such as the Glasgow Barons. They're all on the slides here, and you can look them up to find out a bit more about what these organisations do in the creative sector and for our city. And just to add there that these opportunities are typically available right across the subject areas within the College of Arts and Humanities. Another initiative that we've developed that is to help kind of build and open those doors towards the real world and the industry partnerships is a series called Creative Futures. These exist in a kind of extracurricular space, so they're optional, and they allow us to bring in sector specialists. These are often alumni, which I know that Lauren will come on to speak about, but it gives us examples of students who've been through our courses and programs and what they've then gone on to do. And they're an opportunity to demystify the sector and to present and discuss what future career pathways might look like. Recent contributors to this type of event have been representatives who work at the V&A Museum in Dundee, at Scottish Opera and at STV Studios. And we also, with these events, try to make sure there's an opportunity for students themselves to be able to talk informally and directly with the contributors that come along as well. So that's an opportunity for students to start building their own networks. And then the next thing I wanted to shine a spotlight on of what we have been doing within the school is where our courses and programs offer really rich opportunities for students to actually develop their own creative practice. That might be in filmmaking and music performance, theatre making. We've been developing an event which showcases the work that students have created and produced on their courses. It's sort of a multidisciplinary arts event on an annual basis. It's a lively event, but it includes film screenings, new live music and theatre performances, readings, exhibitions of audiovisual and sonic work, and it's all work that students have created and produced on their courses and programmes, and an opportunity to celebrate those amongst their peer groups, also back to academic colleagues and crucially to industry partners that operate within the city. And then for me to sign off, I just really wanted to flag up on this slide that it illustrates, it's just a snapshot, but illustrates the depth and richness of the types of partnerships that we have within the school and the wider college, with a whole range of cultural organisations, from really grassroots organisations to ones that operate at international levels. And these are the types of relationships and partnerships that we're continuously looking to build and work on for the benefits of our students that join us at Glasgow. So Lauren, with that, I shall pass over, Tanya, with that, I'll pass over to you to talk about the Humanities report.
Thanks so much, Catherine. Yes, I'm just going to say a few words about a recent initiative that we've run in the School of Humanities called the Humanities World Changers Report. And why did we commission this? Well, in part, it was a response to public and political discourse that you may have been exposed to, which has a tendency to undervalue humanities degrees in favour perhaps of more vocationally orientated degrees. But in part, it's also in response to student inquiries about where a humanities degree can best equip you for. So we surveyed our alumni who graduated between 1971 and 2025, so across 5 decades. And that longitudinal nature of the survey was really important to us. And we asked them a range of questions about the value of their humanities degree on their lives and work. And again, it was important for us to explore not just the impact of our degrees on people's professional lives and on their salaries, but also on their personal lives, their values, their ethics, how they felt their degree had enabled them to make an impact on the world more broadly. So I'm just going to highlight some of the findings of that report, and also would like to mention as well that the report was authored by one of our students, a 4th year history and ancient history student called Jodie Pike. And Jodie was one of 4 interns. We've talked about internships already today. Jodie was one of 4 interns that we've been working with in the School of Humanities over the last year, looking at questions of employability and also student voice. There's a strong emphasis at Glasgow now of ensuring that the student perspective is really at the heart of everything that we do, and this was no exception. So to turn now to findings. Well, firstly, the research found that in line with other research conducted at a national level, including by, for example, the British Academy and the Higher Education Policy Institute, that humanities graduates remain highly desirable to employers. What our report also found, and Daniel's highlighted this already, was that our graduates go into quite a bewilderingly wide range of sectors, from public sector and government to academic research and education to finance and business. Also, what we found was that they also often move between these sectors, that they have a flexibility and adaptability. And that was why it was so important that our survey took this longer perspective. One of the statistics that I really like from our report, and you'll see it on the slide, is that after perhaps that movement between sectors, 92% said that they had found fulfilling, purposeful careers. So we also looked at why, in particular, humanities degrees were so good at providing that adaptability and that flexibility, but also that sense of purpose. And in part, this is because of that skill set that we encourage our graduates to obtain. So I mean, I think it's common knowledge that often our students come to us in the humanities because of a passion for the subject, and we absolutely welcome that. Here you will find your people amongst fellow students, amongst staff. There will be people equally passionate in that subject. However, also along the way, you will obtain this, what turns out to be a highly valuable transferable set of skills in things like critical thinking, sort of close textual analysis, independent research, and advanced communication skills, both oral and written, along with many other more skills. So come with your passion and leave with this set of highly transferable skills. And increasingly, what we're doing at Glasgow is not only helping students to recognise the skills that they are learning, but also to develop them in what's termed meaningful forms of assessment. So whilst we are still setting essays and see those as inherently very, very valuable, you'll also find perhaps forms of assessment that you might not expect, but which mirror sort of real world professional outputs, such as policy briefs, podcasts, museum exhibition labels, and many others. But as I alluded to earlier, we were interested in our research, not just in professional careers, but also in how humanities degrees impact people's personal lives. And in the report, you'll find powerful testimony on the impact of the degrees on things like personal growth, values and ethics, and a sense of empowerment. And I just wanted to leave you with a quote in the report, which I particularly like. So in light of the complex global challenges that we're facing right now, that we're all very well aware of, one of our alumni stated, "Humanities degrees make the kind of people we desperately need in the world right now." So I'm going to leave it there and hand over now to Lauren.
Thank you, Tanya. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of what I'm going to say will reiterate what has been said prior. As you've heard, our graduates go on to a whole world of fantastic things in pretty much every sector, and I can confidently say that that is the case. You will find our graduates in most, if not all, sectors doing a variety of different roles, from technical roles to operations, management to policy advocacy, the whole kit and caboodle. So I think what would be useful for potentially some of you to hear is what the alumni community, or what that is within Glasgow, because it is quite different to some other universities, and it's an important consideration. Because when you start your degree, yes, you have your 3-4 years, maybe you go on to do a PhD, but at some point you will move on from your academic pursuits. And I think it's nice to know that you are not alone and to know what you are joining. So for a bit of context there, my role works very closely with the alumni globally, and I can let you know that you will be joining 300,000 other graduates of the university. It's an incredibly diverse community. It's vast, understandably, and it's international. We span every continent in the world, and our alumni have set up 45 associations globally. So I think it's quite nice to know that when you graduate, it's not the end of the story with Glasgow. You can connect back with your peers through associations. So wherever your journey takes you, wherever your career maybe takes you, a new city, a new country, you are likely to find a graduate, if not by happen chance, through an association. And we're here to support you in making those connections and setting up those networks. Other ways that our alumni stay connected is through the General Council. When you graduate from the University of Glasgow, you're automatically part of the General Council, which allows you to contribute and vote on matters connected to the university, which is quite an interesting space to be able to have influence. You'll receive specific communications about alumni activity, as well as projects or partnership opportunities that are maybe connected to your specific degree programme. Again, the careers advice that's open to you for 2 years after, you're still able to access information about events and activities through ourselves once you have graduated uni. You'll also be connected with different flagship events. And again, these are not specific to Glasgow City. If you find yourself in Boston, for example, you might be invited to a Burns Supper evening in which some of our arts alumni may also be there, along with some of the prospective students as well as staff members. So it is not the end of your journey when you graduate from your undergraduate degree, or indeed if you move on and do a postgrad or a PhD, there is a large, vast and engaged community waiting for you. So if we click on to the next slide, I can just talk widely, give you a wee bit of context about some of the careers that our grads go into. Exactly like we said, we're everywhere. Our alumni, and I think this is maybe nice to hear, working one-to-one with them and in conversations, I have yet to speak to an arts and humanities alumnus who has regretted the decision to study an arts and humanities degree. Exactly as Tanya mentioned, it's that long-lasting impact, whether it is in a specific vocation that they have stuck to, or movements across different sectors and different roles at different seniorities. There is a flexibility and an openness within our graduates that I think makes them particularly hireable, as well as allowing them to have that perspective looking back on their entire career journey that tends to make very positive contributors to the workplace. So for that reason alone, I'm not surprised that our alums are in senior positions and are in roles across a whole host of sectors, from policy and public advocacy to government, education, journalism, and other international organizations. So if there's one lasting remark I could leave you with is exactly as Tanya had mentioned, follow your heart, study something you're interested in, because the skills that you will gain from a degree in that space are profound and they will follow you throughout your journey, regardless of what industry you go into. And our alumni are testament to that. And I will pass on to Vivav.
Thank you, Lauren. So as I said earlier, I am currently a fourth year business management and music student. And one of the reasons why I really love arts and humanities in the university is the fact that I was able to pick a flexible degree. When joining the university, I wasn't really too sure what I wanted to do. I was unsure between music and business. Music had always been a lifelong passion since I was young. And through secondary school and doing business, I kind of realized that I also enjoyed that subject as well for various different reasons. So when it came to applying for universities, I was kind of just picking one or the other. And I wasn't really too sure if that's what I wanted to do. And when I came across the fact that I could do a joint degree and do business management and music together, that flexibility kind of made me pick the University of Glasgow. I was able to kind of pick a degree that could fit my interests. I was able to connect with like-minded people, and I was able to kind of develop transferable skills through that. Over the years now, I've learned what I wanted to do, and that was solely for the fact I was able to take a flexible degree to begin with. I remember in first year, I had no idea. I was just going to classes, kind of just hoping something would stick. So the fact that during that journey, I was able to find it and find my passion, that has been something that has been pretty invaluable. And through that, I was able to actually do 2 paid internships at the university. The first one was a student content creator. And that internship I was able to find through the Students Opportunities Hub, which is a place where you can find any part-time jobs or internships. And through that, because I was a student and I was part of the College of Arts and Humanities, I was able to apply to that and kind of start looking into the marketing side of the sector that I wanted to get into. So I was kind of able to do that experience alongside my studies. And because I was part of the Arts and Humanities College, I was able to apply to that internship, and I was able to build professional networks and develop skills for my future marketing career later on. Because of that experience as well, I was able to then get a second internship at the university as a digital media intern, which is what I'm doing currently. And it's the transferable skills that I was able to build as a student content creator. I was able to transfer some of that to my current internship. And obviously through there, I've been learning even more skills. So more recently, I've been learning Premiere Pro, as well as Adobe Photoshop, which are industry professional applications that you do need to do. As you can see on the slide, you can see some of the content that I did create at my time as a student content creator. And the university is really an amazing place. We have tons of societies and tons of clubs. If I'm correct, we have societies from the music club to Taylor Swift to K-pop. There's a lot that you can do, and club societies are really good for networking, just trying to figure out what other like-minded people are trying to do, and it's really good to just get involved. It's amazing to build friendships, and you never know where you can get opportunities from. So I would definitely recommend that as well. And through this, I've been able to build practical experiences. I've been able to network with staff and students as well. So kind of having that experience between best of both worlds, I would say, that's kind of really changed my outlook on how I would approach various things when it comes to communicating with staff and students. I've been able to build a marketing portfolio through these internships as well. And that has been pretty meaningful. I've been able to refine it over the past year. And slowly I'm able to apply transferable skills and apply them to real world situations as well. The university and Glasgow as a city as well is amazing. There's tons of live events. There's tons of nightlife, arts, museums. And through my internships, I've really learned just how immersed arts and humanities is within the city and just how much you can do outside of that. So that's been my experience. And I think the main thing that I would like you guys to take away from this is that flexible degrees are a possibility, and you can do them through a lot of colleges as well. I've been able to do it through College of Social Sciences as a business management student as well. So that opportunity is pretty invaluable, especially if you're kind of unsure on what you want to do. So yeah.
That's great. Thanks so much, Vaibhav. And thanks to all our panelists, some really, really positive and really interesting insights there. And just to finish the presentation part of this panel, I'm just going to look at the global picture. So the arts and humanities graduates are represented, as you've heard, in leadership roles, and across major international industries. And it generally comes back to those skills that they develop, those critical thinking, creativity, communication, problem solving, they're all highly transferable. And as we've heard, increasingly valued in some of the, the main areas and developments, technology, AI, and also, of course, the creative economy. When we then bring that closer to home, we see that same story in the UK as well. Arts and humanities graduates are just as employable as their STEM peers. They work across, fast-growing sectors, media, education, public services, everything that we've heard about from our speakers today. And all of these are areas, where demand for our graduates continue to grow. So the message really here is, whether globally or nationally, that message is consistent. These are degrees with real, sustained, and widening relevance. So we're going to move into the Q&A part of the session now, and really this is your chance, to ask our panel questions live. I can see they've been coming in already, so I know that you're already a super engaged bunch, and you can submit your questions at any point using the live chat. I'm going to put as many of these as I possibly can to our panelists, so panelists, get ready. And if you'd like a specific person to answer the question that you have, just include that in your message. So you could say, for Daniel, for Vaibhav, for Catherine, and I'm going to do my best to direct that accordingly. Just in the interest of time, I'm not going to ask every panelist to respond to every question. Otherwise, might be here all week. But I'm going to try and match your question to the best person to answer it for you. We're going to try and get through as many as we can. And we've also got some of our moderators, as you've already seen in the chat, sharing useful links, and resources alongside that discussion. So keep those questions coming in. And actually, I can see that we've already had one in from Phoebe. So we're going to start with this one. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Tanya in first, and then I'm going to go to Vaibhav, just to kind of get your experience, okay, as well. So Phoebe asks, is an arts and humanities degree always multiple subjects, or can you just do a single one? So Tanya, do you want to come in first and talk a little bit about the structure?
Yes, absolutely. So this is the benefit. I think the flexibility is the benefit of a Scottish degree. So Scottish undergraduate degrees take place across 4 years. In the first 2 years, you'll be in pre-honours. And in pre-honours, you'll take 3 subjects, usually in your first year. then 2 or 3 subjects in your second year. And that gives you, I think Vaibhav's talked about this, that exposure to perhaps subjects that you might not have considered when you were studying at school. So from that, you'll have a much better sense of the subjects that you want to specialise in. And then you move into honours, and you can take single or joint honours. It's then by that point you'll know whether you wish to specialise in one particular subject area and take a single honours degree, or you'll want to take a joint honours degree. And joint honours degrees can be taken within the College of Arts and Humanities or across different colleges. So I think, Vaibhav, you're an example of this, in that was your degree music and business studies, is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I was able to go between colleges, and yeah, in first year and second year you can take 3 subjects like Tanya was saying, and I did take digital media and information studies as an elective. And it was like Tanya said, that wasn't really on my radar when I picked it, but it turned out to be something that was pretty interesting and pretty insightful. And even if you take a subject that you're not particularly interested in, you do learn quite a lot of valuable skills that transfers over without realizing it. That's always happened throughout my student journey. No matter where I am, an unexpected change has always been it's always helped me for the better. So taking digital media, I learned how to code, which was quite unexpected. But it's those types of skills that you can kind of put on your CV, or you can use them for a different reason. But yeah, you can take joint honors, or you can take single honors, and yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, Tanya, do you want to say?
I was just going to come in and also highlight a relatively new development in the courses that we offer called Curriculum for Life. And these are a fantastic new suite of courses which are interdisciplinary, where you get to engage with students from across the university working on sort of their challenge-led courses. So you'll be working on a societal challenge, but through perhaps a disciplinary perspective. And here you'll also be working perhaps in a more applied way than you might in your individual discipline. So you might be, as I say, working on these societal challenges through sort of applying perhaps disciplinary knowledge to a real world scenario. And that's another way in which you can sort of expose yourself to other disciplines, other fields. And just to, spend that first couple of years really exploring, as Daniel said earlier, what you're good at, what really resonates with you, so that you can then move with confidence into the second half of your degree and then specialise.
Thanks both. Yeah, and Phoebe, hopefully that answers your question for you. We've got an answer from Tanya, and then we've got some real experience there from Vaibhav as well. So hopefully, that's got you thinking about what might be possible. The next question that we've got comes from email. I want to jump in and answer it straight away, but I might come to a few others first, and then I can add. The question is, what should students be doing during their degree to improve their career prospects? So that's the first part. So Vaibhav, I'm going to come to you because you talked a little about internships. So obviously we can talk a little bit about internships. Is there anything else, that you think might help students, think about career prospects, start to develop their skills?
Yeah, we have. Like I said, we do have internships, and a lot of them are paid as well. So you do get real life experience, and you also do get paid for doing it. But we also have the career services, which has been amazing. They help you tailor your CV. They help you kind of figure out where you want to go. And yeah, basically where you want to go, and they help you build it from scratch. Out of that, we have tons of different opportunities. More recently, we had the TV Foundation come to music, and a lot of people were able to apply for that course. And if they wanted to be a director, producer, or writer, they were allowed to apply. And the way that the process worked was that University of Glasgow students got a fast-track application, meaning any University of Glasgow student that applied for it, we were automatically guaranteed an interview. So we kind of passed the first initial process where we submit an application and they decide if we get an interview. It was so that all your University of Glasgow students get that first opportunity of an interview. So there are lots of opportunities like that you will experience throughout the student experience. And I would just say go for it and just try it. It might be scary, but you never know when something will just stick.
Yeah, and that's my, that's always my top tip when I speak to students. It's just try things out, join a club or a society, great way to make friends, but also to build, good skills, team working skills, how you communicate, meet a diverse range of people. It could be volunteering, could be part-time work, local in the area, it could be internships and things like that. Yeah, it's about
about
trying
actually
things out.
student
Yeah, come in, Bible.
societies. We do so. I'm part of societies as well, and we do bring in industry professionals to talk about their experiences. And student societies are just an amazing way to network with people, whether that's industry professionals or if that is just your peers. Just bouncing off ideas or kind of just figuring out where other people are or maybe what they're planning on doing. That is pretty valuable to kind of see what maybe where you want to go, or maybe you want to do plan A instead of plan B. Maybe it might change. And yeah, like Daniel was saying, there's lots of part-time opportunities. You can volunteer as well to kind of build up that experience. That's what I did. I volunteered first in first year, just locally. And I kind of just built transferable skills to then find internships, part-time jobs, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And now I'm using all of this to apply for graduate programs and, trying to get a full-time job now.
Exactly. Well, that's good to hear, Vaibhav. I'm gonna bring Lauren in. Lauren, when you speak to alumni, what do they think was most helpful maybe to them, or do you hear lots of stories about, oh yeah, I really enjoyed doing this was memorable, in terms of what really helped with kind of thinking about what next for them?
Yeah, so I think, it's reiterating a little bit of what's been said, but go for the opportunities in front of you. That typically is the kind of the feedback that we're getting from alums. I had a really interesting meeting last week only, while I was over in the States speaking with an alumnus who had reiterated that message exactly, from internships to going away to different locations with friends that they've met on their course, or study abroad students that they'd met through one of the subjects they'd studied alongside their main degree. And it was that vastness in experience and going for opportunities, regardless of what they are, that has given them that kind of well-rounded experience of not only Glasgow, but what life after might look like too, because they can take forward different experiences from different journeys that they've gone on while they're here. I'm not sure if that answers the question, but hopefully.
No, it definitely does. Thanks, Lauren. And the next question. So, Catherine, this is coming for you. So, are there examples of current arts and humanities students working with external organizations on placements and internships? Now, I know, you mentioned GMAC. We've had some internships with HarperCollins and publishing and things like that previously. But yeah, any other examples of people working with those external organizations that you can share?
Yeah, I think we're on it's cyclical, and every year is different. So we're always bringing in new organizations and partners. But at the moment, we will have students who are on paid internships with organizations that exist in the sector. We've had students recently working with production companies such as Urban Croft. We've got students at the moment working with STV Studios on paid internships. And then I mentioned when I was talking about from a more of a placement perspective, so that's when it's embedded in course, not paid, but as part of a graded and assessed learning part of your time at the university. In theatre studies, we've got a group of students who'll be joining the Citizens Theatre to do work placements there. So there's a real richness and diversity, and we try and get a breadth across the kind of the big pillars of kind of creative industry. So within film and television, but also within the arts, galleries, museum sectors, and in the theatre space as well, obviously, and with music organisations as well. So we try and hit all of those key pillars.
Yeah, and it sounds like there's great coverage, across lots of different things there. And obviously on your slides, you had all the logos of the kind of companies that you've been working with. So that's great. It's really great to hear and brings it to life. I really like this next question. So Tanya, I'm going to come to you in the first instance, because I'm sure, you have other students, this is not going to be the only concern, from one student. What advice would you give someone who's unsure about what to apply for? If people want to study English literature and digital media information studies, but there's so many subjects, they want to do it all. So when people are not quite sure which direction to take, is there some advice that you'd usually give them?
So what the concerns I tend to get are, I want to follow my passion, but I'm not sure if I can get a job at the end of it. And I can easily reassure actually our prospective students about that. I think perhaps what students find when they are applying is just this wealth of opportunity, but subjects perhaps that are unfamiliar to them, that they might not have been introduced to at school. But as I said earlier, I guess that's the big advantage of the Scottish system. It gives you that extra year, gives you that sort of extra year at the beginning, really, to just take the subjects that you think you might be interested in and to get, I mean, I think the only way that you can know is by doing, in all honesty, is by taking a course and seeing if it aligns with your interests and with your skills. As I said, that's you don't have to decide, I guess, is the answer, that you can come here, you can have that flexibility in the first couple of years and really get some sort of hands-on experience in, I don't know, how a field, how a discipline functions, you know, what its preoccupations are, the kinds of skills that it entails to be good at it. So I guess what I'd say also as well is just not to be held back by concerns that, you know, that it's perhaps not as attractive to employers, because our research really shows that that's not the case. I think for me, I mean, I'm speaking as a historian here who's also very passionate about their subject, but for me, you have to be invested in what you're studying. You know, it has to come from your own passion, and then the skills that you'll obtain, you know, during the course of your degree will then equip you for employment. So, yeah, as long as you're propelled by passion, I don't think you'll go far wrong.
Yeah, I really like that, you know, actually follow your passion, you know, and things. And I think that's what my advice would be, you know, to students that are thinking about this as well. It's like, well, what are you passionate about and what do you enjoy? Because that's where, you know, your interests are going to come from. And like you said, the structure set up, you know, to kind of support that. Lauren, I'm going to come to you because I know you've got some kind of personal experience with this. So tell us about your story.
Yeah, I'm sure others can relate, but to reiterate what Tanya's saying, go with what you're interested in, and the joy of the Scottish system is you have a bit more time. So I started my degree straight out of school. I was 17 and I went into psychology thinking I was going to do clinical psychology. So quite a deviation from where we are now. But in my first and second year, I'd studied anthropology, social anthropology alongside. And that really, really caught my interest. I was really passionate about that area of work and kind of in the humanities. And then I was able to switch my degree fully over into being an honours in anthropology. So yes, it can be overwhelming, but just kind of try and stay true to what interests you at the time and use that extra year to your advantage.
Great. And Catherine, do you want to come in as well?
Sure, just very briefly, very similar. I signed up to do English Lit, and then I ended up with a degree in French and Film and TV Studies at Glasgow. And I really benefited from that opportunity of trying those different things in the first year. And then I've gone on to use those disciplines and that knowledge in different ways before doing a very kind of circuitous route back to the university to be in this role now. But it can be really exciting to have the richness of the offer to experiment with before you pin down what you're going to study in honours.
Yeah, definitely. And then thanks for sharing all your experiences there. I can see we've got a couple of questions left to go, and we've got about 3 or 4 minutes for you to get any final questions that you want to put to us. Yeah, the next one is, I think, something we're starting to hear a lot more, you know, so it says, I'm an offer holder, I'm worried about the cost of living, you know, so does the university offer any internships and are they paid or unpaid? So I'm happy to pick this one up, and if anyone wants to come in, you know, let me know. But yeah, so we do offer internships, as you heard a bit from Vibab's experiences. I would say we tend to only promote paid internships, you know, so we don't really offer anything that's unpaid through our Student Opportunities Hub to our students. And we do a bit of vetting as well, so we make sure that they're a proper organization, you know, they're paying the right kind of minimum wage requirements and things like that. So we do a bit of vetting, so hopefully that gives you a bit of reassurance. And I would say, you know, internships and part-time work generally come across 3 categories. So we're in the city of Glasgow. It's a massive place with lots of organizations, lots of need for part-time work and internships, you know, so you know, we're about 15-minute, 20-minute walk maybe into the heart of Glasgow. We've got the SEC, you know, just a stone's throw away from the university. And this is where a lot of that kind of part-time work would come from, whether it's in retail, hospitality, you know, the more creative industries, theatres, museums, and things like that. then obviously the university is a big employer itself. We hire lots of students, around campus, all of these in paid positions. Vaibhav, you mentioned obviously being a content creator. What a great position, here at the university. And there are many of these kind of examples that students can kind of get involved with. And then I think the third option is we do actually have some kind of, exclusive opportunities for our just for our University of Glasgow students. So this is some of the ones that Catherine was mentioning. We've also got our Find a Solution scheme, where you're actually paid to do research with some of these local organizations and charities. So there's always lots of opportunities that are on offer. And whenever I'm running something like this, or I'm speaking with students, I go in and check. And just this morning, we're advertising around about 800 to 900 different opportunities currently for our students through our jobs platform. So that might be part-time work, internships, and graduate roles. So there's so many things that you can choose from. So hopefully that answers that question. Vaibhav, I'm just going to bring you in very quickly before I ask the final question. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your experience with the internships? I'm guessing they're both paid. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about that?
Yeah, so for my internships, I went through the Student Opportunities Hub, and the way that it worked was I submitted an application and then I had an interview process. So for both of those internships, I was with 2 panelists that interviewed me, and it would last around 30-40 minutes. And after that, I basically heard a week later, and those experiences have been really impactful. The amount of things that I've learned over the past year, if you would have asked me a year ago what skills, or like what can I put on a CV, I was kind of struggling to kind of like write them down or kind of figure out, what do I put down? I knew that I had group projects, so I knew I could put a couple of things down, but kind of finding the meat of what I wanted to put down, I couldn't really do that. So the past year has really helped me develop that. It's helped me build my skills up, and it's helped me become more confident in entering the marketing industry later on if I choose to do so. Yeah. And I think that's what's so good about my degree, is that because it's so flexible, if I want to change, if I kind of want to pivot a bit, I do have that opportunity to do that. And the transferable skills that I've learned and built, like content creation, I can always move that to any industry in any sector.
Yeah, that's fab, right? Okay, so we're coming to the end now, so I'm going to try and squeeze in a very quick question, Vaibhav, to you, just from your music perspective. Are there any bands or orchestras and things like that people can join? Just very quickly, come in on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have the music club, and we have around 10 different societies there. So we have the flute choir, brass ensemble, we have wind band, percussion. So there's a lot of things that you can get into as a student. And the great things about societies is that you can also start one if you wanted to. So if there's something that's not there that you would like to get into, you can always just start and create that yourself.
Yeah, fab. I knew there'd be something, so I knew that you would be the best person to ask. So we're going to finish. I'm going to bring in everyone. Okay, so just very quickly, one or two sentences. So if a student is close to accepting their offer, why, as an art student, do you think that you should choose Glasgow over somewhere else? Lauren, I can see you nodding. Come on in.
I'm from Glasgow, so I'm probably biased, but it's an incredibly vibrant city. So you're joining a great city. The university is incredibly well connected to the surrounding communities, and you have a lot of opportunities after. But yeah, you're entering a good city if you're doing an arts degree.
Brilliant. Thanks, Lauren. Catherine, I'm going to bring you in next.
Okay, well, it's a bit similar, but they say that people make Glasgow, which is really true. And the city is full of people that will want to help you, that will connect with you. And then from an arts point of view, the people make the arts as well. So having that double mix of a city that's got such a kind of rich arts and cultural scene, but with people who are really invested in it, who are genuinely looking to make a difference and support each other, then that's a kind of perfect mix for following that arts and humanities degree at Glasgow.
Yeah, definitely. Tanya, I'm coming over to you.
I'm going to say the passion and the commitment of the teaching that you'll get here. I think time and again, when our students are surveyed about positive aspects of their degree here, just the commitment that the teaching staff have to your learning and the community of learning that you'll find here. You'll find people who share your interest in that subject and who are really invested in your educational journey, and making sure that you study exactly the subjects that you want in the way that you want. So, and who, as I say, who are really with you alongside you on that journey. So yeah, passion and commitment of the teacher.
Yeah, and definitely a strong one to come in. And Vaibhav, I'm going to give you the last word on this question. You know, as one of our current students, what do you think?
Yeah, so I think there is a massive sense of community here at the university. I think that's the biggest takeaway from here. You will never feel alone, and I think everyone wants to help you here. They want to see you succeed. They want to see you grow. Feel free to always ask questions here. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to be unsure. It's okay if you don't have everything figured out to begin with. The university is that flexible, and they will help you figure out where you want to go. So I think that's the biggest takeaway, in my opinion, is that you are not alone. You can always pivot. You can always do whatever you want and whatever you're passionate about. That is what's really important, and that's what makes this university so special.
Yeah, I think you're right. And look, that brings our Q&A to a close. You know, I want to give a big round of applause and thank you to all our panelists. But also thank you, you know, for those of you who've joined today. I'd like to finish really by encouraging any prospective students out there, you know, to really think about taking that next step. You know, explore our flexible undergraduate degrees in Arts and Humanities, and do consider joining us here at the University of Glasgow. For those of you who already have an offer, well, you know, myself, Lauren, Catherine, Tanya, Vaibhav, we cannot wait to meet you here in Glasgow this September or next, and do stay connected with us. The College of Arts and Humanities are on social media. I'm sure maybe the links have been shared or they might be posted in the chat now. But this is a great way to hear directly from our students like Vaibhav, you know, and get a real sense of their experiences. And that brings it to a close. So thank you again so much for joining us. We hope you found it insightful, and we really look forward to welcoming you to the University of Glasgow, you know, so you can start discovering where your Arts and Humanities degree can take you.